What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? This is a very, very, very impromptu live. I said during this whole coronavirus thing, I'm going to try to devote as much time as I can to you guys because I know a lot of you guys are stuck at home and you could use the company. And if I can, I guess I hate to use the word entertain. Let's just call it like a hangout. Let's just all hang out, just chill. But let me check my settings here. I think check on the mic 1 2. Yep, I think that's working. Okay, cool. And let me open up my chat window here. Cool. I can see that. That's awesome. Stewie Griffin, Dustin Reed, Smiths Grove, Holly. What's up, Holly? Charles Lee Ray. Like that name. Tom Ungarin, Alicia Padano. Let's see, Zach Araya, Beth S. What's up, Beth? Got some vinyl on right now, actually. Ashanti Berry, Bernie Gombano. I remember Bernie from the last time. I see a few familiar faces from the Crow commentary that we did, which was really fun. Cole Reviews, Michael Pavone. What's up, man? Michael, I don't know if no, you've been in a couple of my streams before. That's right. Yeah. And the stream's starting to pick up now. Nick Roberts, Ed C, a lot of cool people. Mikey Weiss. Mike, did you lift any weights today? I'm sure you did. I should have. I definitely should have. I really worked all day editing. And then Jeffrey Mooseman, what's up, man? Nice to see you in here. Matthew Rieger. I was editing today, and I got that latest top 10 out. I tell you, those top 10s, they're tedious. They're extremely, extremely tedious because it's a lot of cutting and pasting and moving things here and there. And it's not like when you do a normal review where you just kind of go through it and you're like, oh, I'd like this clip right here, and this will be nice, and this will convey my point. And it's like that times 10. That's what it is. And it's just a lot of, it's very tedious. So, but I got a vinyl playing in the background, actually. I have John Carpenter's Lost Themes. That's like my current vinyl that I just constantly play when I come in here and I want to set the mood. Usually I'll throw on something by John Carpenter just to kind of mellow me out a little bit, because I'm always like, I feel like my blood's just pumping constantly. Like I might be a vampire. I don't know. So I need something to calm me down when I sit down with you guys. And, I didn't even look at the results. I posted a poll on, that's a lot of emojis. Is it Jocelyn Gavin? Yeah. I posted a poll on Killer Flicks and Twitter, and I said this stream will be up to you guys. If you want it to be all Halloween, it'll be all Halloween. If you want it to be all Friday, we could do that. Nightmare. As a matter of fact, I literally just put together my top 10 list. The Nightmare franchise gets right. I just jotted down in my Word document. I came up with 10 things really quick. It's easy in the Nightmare franchise to come up with 10 things you like. So I did that. If you guys want to throw some things that you like about the Nightmare franchise in the chat, get it popping, go for it. Not saying the Nightmare franchise won for the AMA, but I highly doubt it. It's either going to be the all horror, or it's either going to be the Halloween one. Let me double check here. Hold on just a sec. Let's see which one won. I bet it's all horror, which is cool. I was kind of hoping all horror would win, so that way we could just, we could have carte blanche. We could talk about anything. Let me see. Hold on just a second. Yeah, on Killer Flicks, it's 41 votes for all horror AMA. Halloween took number 2 with 9 votes. So I think that pretty much decides it right there. Even I don't even need to bother to go over to Twitter, but I guess I will, just to see. And here we go. Oh, wow. So it was closer on Twitter. The The all horror won 38%, Halloween 33%. The good news for you guys is we can still talk about Halloween. We can talk about all of it. We can have a lot of fun. We can talk about other slasher movies, franchises, horror. We can talk about Pet Sematary. We can talk about anything you guys want. Okay? Holly, that People Under the Stairs VHS. I started doing some research because for VHS movies from the UK, you got to have a player that will play PAL, P-A-L. For the States, is it NTSC? I used to be really be into like video, making my own video files. I guess I made my own Halloween 6 cut, but I used to know all the technical terms and the lingo. Used to. It's kind of foggy to me now because YouTube has taken up so much of my time that I don't remember as much. But I do know that, you have to have a special type of player to play those. So I looked on eBay, and I think one can be had because I do have a lot of UK releases now, thanks to a lot of you guys. James Kipling just sent me a bunch of them. And there's a lot that I want to watch. I'd love to, sometimes you just want to watch a VHS movie, on Jolene, which is right here. Jolene's looking right at me. So, I'm going to read some of your comments now, though, okay? Let me see. Hold on just a sec. Read some of your comments. Smith's Grove said, I gotta go up and read some of these. I'll start at the Daniel Chavez says, you know who should direct a Halloween reboot? Lee should. I'd probably be scared to death. I definitely want to direct my own, short film one day. I kind of know what I want in the frame, but the thought of actually doing it does scare me because you're opening yourself up, which is fine. I do this. I criticize movies all the time. So it's not that I wouldn't want to be criticized. It's just the task is daunting. It's a lot. And I mean a lot of work to make a film. So one day though, definitely. I definitely want to direct. And it's one of those things, we all have these dreams in our minds that I want to do this, and so many of us, we say we want to do something, but we just don't do it out of fear. I'm one of those. I'm one of those guys, that I've said I want to direct, and it's such a scary thing. And give me some examples in the chat. What's something that you guys have wanted to do in your life that you've never done, that you're scared that you would fail, or maybe you're just scared for another reason. Maybe the workload seems like it's, but I'd like to know your dreams and aspirations. I want to know more about you guys. I'm really horrible with the chat. As far as figuring out the order to go, because I try to go up, but then it starts moving and then I get out of place. And as you can see, I talk a lot. Christian, what's up, man? Christian Hannah Horror. Guys, definitely check out his channel. Great horror content. As a musician, I really want to do a score for a horror movie, man. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm only a drummer. That's all I can do. I can't do piano. I can't do guitar or anything like that. So as a drummer, you're kind of limited as to what you can do for a score. I can have all these thoughts in my head as far as what I want to convey, but transferring it outside of the drums, it's a big challenge for me. So I can't do that. But I'm a big music lover, and I definitely love horror scores. That's why I'm listening to John Carpenter right now. Holly says she's always wanted to act or write a book. Just to give you, my wife, as you know, my wife wrote a book, the Roller Skate Skinny book. That thing took her, I want to say, 2 years to write. And there was many a night where I had to go entertain myself because she would just write constantly, and I guess when you get in that mode, you just want to, there's no time limit. You just want to keep going and get all those thoughts that are in your head out. And I can't do that. I don't have that willpower. That's why I could never be a writer. I hate sitting down and writing things out. It's just, it's painful for me from the first sentence to the last. I've never liked it. That's why I don't really even like script out my reviews. There's some channels, they type out their entire review, what they're going to do. I can't do that. I literally can I want to talk about this, and this. 5 things, 1 word each thing. And then I sit down and I just talk it out. That's what I do. And I think because I've done it so much, I've gotten used to it. But I'm not one of those guys that can just type out everything. And plus I have the worst memory ever. Like I have a horrible, horrible memory. So that's another thing. I don't want to type out everything and then I'd have to like read it, cut. And then my reviews come out horribly. Some people have a great memory. They can do stuff like that. I can't. I guess I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and that's important. Would you prefer to write a reboot of a franchise or something completely new and original? I think new and original, and I would say that constantly I have ideas that pop in my head that aren't from a franchise, a known franchise. A lot of times I'll have ideas in my head that are completely original, but they're kind of scrambled, and I have to put them, I have to make them, I guess, make sense. So yeah, and I think we're in dire need of something original that is successful. That's a key word right there, because there's tons of original content out there, but more times than not, it can't find its way up to the top of the heap. It's always muddied way down below, and it seems like studios are scared. They don't want to take a chance because it will fail, and they're probably right. We live in a really strange time right now for films. We constantly lean on the past, especially the 80s. Dino, what's up, man? Nice to see you in here. Tyshawn, good buddy. Hell yeah. But yeah, we constantly lean on the past, and it's hard to let that go. I think the 80s and the 70s were such a great time for movies. I don't know what it is. There's something about that time period that's just so sacred, and it was almost too good. And so now we just constantly lean back. We always want to go back and remake. We want to recapture that magic, I think. But like I said, there is some original content out there that is good. Like I say, The Collector's a great example. You know what Marcus Dunstan brought to the table. Marcus Dunstan, I think, has got some great ideas, and even he eventually tried to jump into a well-known franchise, Halloween. But I think The Collector is that like an example of hope. There is hope to create original, fresh content that it's still very good, and that's just one example. There's plenty of them. But like I said, it's tough making something that's going to be successful. Yeah, Dino, you can't recapture those decades, and we do have a lot of I love stuff that reaches back to the 80s. I like Stranger Things. The new American Horror Story season. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm guilty. I want to watch that stuff. So it's rough. It's a tough situation. Yeah, like Jason Mongold said, studios want guaranteed money. That's what they want, and they don't want to take a risk. I remember, and you can find this on YouTube, John Carpenter. Somebody asked him at one of his conventions. He was at a convention, and they said, "Why is everything remakes today?" And he summed it up perfectly. He said, because with remakes, you have a built-in brand already established. You already have marketing established. Before you even, all you have to do is announce that the movie's coming out, and you already have a built-in audience. You don't have to build an audience. And so it's a no-brainer. And I think that's one of the reasons why all of Carpenter's properties are being remade, because I think he did make films that are universal, that transcend just the 80s. The Thing could come out today and still feel fresh, And The Thing was a remake. But he made it feel like something new. And that's another challenge too. If you're going to remake something, make it feel fresh and new. Okay, let's see what else we got in here. Um, Riley Gentry, do you plan on continuing your Final Destination reviews? Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm weird like that. Like sometimes I don't do franchise reviews as much as I used to. When I first started my channel, right away I jumped into Halloween. Then right after that, I jumped into Friday. Then right after that, I jumped into Nightmare. You know, and I kind of got like burnt out because it's a daunting task when you finish. I did the Hellraiser too, and my God, if you can complete a Hellraiser franchise, you deserve some sort of medal. But after doing 4 franchises with at least 10 movies, not Texas Chainsaw, I did all those too. You start wanting to reach out and find other properties that aren't, more than 2-3 movies. Because like I said, it's daunting. So I did the first 2 Final Destination movies, had a blast doing both of them. But I guess just thinking back at all those franchises that I had previously done, I was like, do I want to get into this again? Do I want to, because some channels, they can pump out a new entry in a franchise weekly. And it's amazing that they're able to do that. And I can do that, but it's not that easy for me to do that. Usually, it takes me a long time to finish a franchise. When I did my Halloween Revisited series, that took me an entire, I think, 1.5 years, something like that. It took me a long time to finish that. And that's just the way I work. It's not easy for me. It's a mindset thing. Connor Popplewell, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a mindset thing. It's tough for me to get in that headspace to continue a franchise, and maybe I would just forced myself to do it with those first few. But yeah, I guess that's the long answer. You're gonna notice that about me too. I give long answers for everything. I can be annoying. Driller Killer 79, Jimmy Hayes. I heard a lot of Driller Killer in the comments. What was that on? Oh, was that my Maniac review that a lot of people were mentioning Driller Killer? And I guess that's like another Grindhouse type of movie. Yeah. That's definitely one I want to check out. There's a lot of these Grindhouse movies, a lot of these Giallo types of films. That's what I'm really excited about lately. It seems like, I got like 3 or 4 movies sitting on my shelf right now that I'm like, God, I can't wait to throw that in and watch it and talk about it. Visiting Hours is one of them. There's a couple of them that's like right on the freaking tip of my tongue. But they're like old 80s slashers. What's that one with Linnea Quigley? The Slime Ball. It's a really long name. The Slime Bowl-orama or something like that. I have that on Blu-ray, and I that's one that I want to get to as well. I like reviewing Linnea Quigley movies for some reason. They're just really fun. Yeah, Slumber Party Massacre 3, Derek Smith. Thank you. That's one that I'm definitely wanting to get to. But Final Destination, yeah, I'm definitely going to continue that franchise eventually. I've been thinking about doing 3 for a while now. I even told Leela over at Killer Flex, it's like, I'm gonna do 3 and I'm gonna dedicate it to you, because she mentioned Final Destination 3. So, okay, Lee, have you seen Madhouse 2004? Stewie Griffin. No, I haven't seen. I know there's a couple of movies called Madhouse. Of course, I reviewed the 1981 movie. But 2004, no, I have not seen that one. Let's see. Holly says Maniac, Popcorn, and Pieces are on my list to watch. Which would you prefer first? I would say go for Pieces. Pieces and Maniac are both grindhouse types of movies. Pieces, I think, is the funner. There's that word again. The funner of the two. Popcorn, I haven't seen in ages. Like, I think I saw Popcorn when it came out back in the 80s. But that's one of those that's kind of like April Fool's Day, So I guess it depends on what type of mood you're in. But I'm really curious to see what you think about Pieces, Holly. Any films you think are untouchable that should never be remade? Bet this. Well, I think like Pieces is a movie that you couldn't remake and have that same, like you could take that premise, but it would be a completely different movie in tone and feel, because Pieces is just one of the most unique slasher movies I have ever seen. It's very strange, and if you've seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. So there's certain movies that you can't remake and recapture, I don't think. I would have said the original Suspiria, like Josh Gavin is saying there. But they did it, and they did it right. They made it completely different in tone, and dare I say, even more disturbing. So they proved me wrong with that one. What's another one that you don't want to remake? I mean, like they've remade Halloween, of course, and I didn't like what Rob Zombie did with the first one, and I wonder if they tried to remake the original Halloween in the way that John Carpenter did it, I think they're just destined for failure. And I hate to bring up the H word, but yeah, I don't like, man, maybe Rob Zombie was just the wrong director to do it. I don't know. But I mean, that first movie, to me, it's so hard to recapture that. And maybe that's the case with Black Christmas. Maybe you don't remake Black Christmas because you're not going to get what Bob Clark brought. There's two failures. I have fun with the 2006 movie, but it's pales in comparison to the original. The original is one of the most terrifying movies I think I've ever seen, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Jaws should definitely never be remade, and I heard that they're actually talking about remaking it. But I don't. That's one that I don't think you could recapture. Again, I like part 2. 3 is fun to make fun of. Same thing with 4. But you're never going to recapture that first movie. So, and you can remake any movie you want, and a lot of us horror fans are going to go watch it anyway. But there's certain movies that you can remake, and you're just not going to get the same effect at all. So. Now, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Tyshawn. I could see them remaking that one, and I'm surprised they haven't tried to yet. I would say I Know What You Did Last Summer, even over Scream, is kind of begging for a remake, because that's a premise that you could easily recapture, I think, Because, I mean, the first one's really fun, but in terms of, like, directing, I don't think it's, like, the most amazing thing ever. It's pretty, I hate to use the word stock, but we've seen that type of direction so many times, especially in the 90s up to now. So, now I'm trying to keep up with these. Hold on. There's been talk of a Hellraiser, JT Customs. There's been talk of a Hellraiser remake for quite a few years, and it's one of those things that it seems like it will never get off the ground. And I think that's another example of a movie that would be, tough to recapture. It's very disturbing, the first Hellraiser. Very disturbing. And I like that lust plays a part in the first Hellraiser. It's not a story of love. It's a story of lust. These two characters that, she is so in lust with Frank that she's willing to kill people in order for Frank to live. It's a really interesting plot, actually. And it's one of those that I think you almost, like, it has to have practical effects. I'd be interested in seeing how they would even try to do a Hellraiser with CGI today. Let me flip my record. Hold on just a sec. What do you guys think about that whole Ezra Miller story that's like blowing up today? Do you think that's like, is it, I don't want to say fake, but do you think there's a little bit more context to that story that we don't know? Or do you think Ezra Miller has just freaking lost it? Because not only did he choke somebody, he choked a small girl, which is really insane. Matthew Moochman says, "Have you seen Argento's Inferno or Opera?" No, I haven't. Inferno's definitely the next one that I'm going to go for, and I hear Opera's excellent. Actually, I reviewed Deep Red a couple months ago and fell in love with that movie. Like, to me, I think Deep Red's like the Giallo movie to beat. You know, it's just Giallo perfection. Sinister. Donald Newton, I'm sorry I missed your super chat. Let me see if I can scroll up here and catch his super chat real quick. Yeah, here we go. Chapter 6 of the Clearwood Murders. Episode 1 is done. Hope you will read it and talk about it when it's all done. If you guys go over to Killer Flicks, you can see Donald's work over there. He is writing, I think it's a Scream-based fan fiction. If you go over to Killer Flicks and look up Donald Newton, you can find his work over there. He's trying to capture those dreams, which is awesome. Joey's movie blog. Quarantine is it's good, man. You know, I think the biggest thing is just staying busy. You know, and that's what I'm doing. I'm staying busy. Unfortunately, I have to go to work tomorrow, but my job, I have 3-day weekends and then a 1-day weekend. That's how I leapfrog. So next weekend, I work Saturday, I'm off Sunday, and then I do Monday through Friday. So this weekend, I was off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I love that. It's nice, but even if you got a 3-day weekend, it still flies by like crazy. But it's going well. You know, luckily for me, I'm a busy type of person. I'm constantly busy. And I'm always, you know, just constantly going. That's just the way I am. So, and doing this, it was just something that wasn't even planned. And I looked at my wife and I was like, "What are we doing tonight, babe?" And she is actually studying because she's in school right now. So I was like, okay, so I got a block here. So do I want to go veg? And I was going to go watch, National Lampoon's Vacation because I have to. I got to do a review for that. It's a Patreon review, and I'm looking forward to that too. I love National Lampoon's Vacation, but I decided, you know what? Since everybody's in quarantine, I'll just chat with you guys. It'll be really cool. So, and Justin Simonson, no, I do not work at the airport anymore. I work at a assisted living facility. So, a lot less stressful. Okay. Donald Newton says, this time it's not Scream fan fiction. It is the characters. It has the characters from my fan favorite. Okay. Who else thinks they should remake Halle Berry's Catwoman movie, Shane Mosier? That might be one of the worst superhero movies that I've ever seen. It's one of those movies you could tell as they were making it that they were like, oh my God, this thing's horrible. You know, it was just, it stinks on ice. It was really, really bad. But I mean, they'll probably make another, you know, I don't know if they will make another Catwoman movie. I think they'll include the character like they did with The Dark Knight Rises, you know? I think that's the safer bet. And I think that's what they'll do. I don't think they want to bank on a solo Catwoman movie again. Unless they pull in an actress that is a very, very, very strong performer. You know, they need some assurances, I guess. Okay. Jason Nike, I want to see a Man of Steel 2. Hell yeah, man. Me too. I've been wanting to see another Man of Steel. But unfortunately, I don't think Henry Cavill is going to come back. I think he's done. And I don't know if that's his decision or if it's their decision. Um, you know, with what happened with Ezra Miller today, that just doesn't bode well for the DC. I don't even know if they're called the extended universe anymore, but I don't know. It just seems like they're digging a massive hole for that whole expanded universe. And it's like they'll have a hit here, then a flop, then a hit, then a flop. So, yeah, I don't even know. Aaron Johnson, National Lampoon's Vacation is a fun comedy. I love that movie and its sequels. Chevy Chase is awesome. The speech in Christmas Vacation. Yeah. Christmas Vacation happens to be one of my favorite Christmas movies. Chevy Chase is so great in I don't know if I've seen Vegas Vacation, but pretty much all those Vegas movies or those vacation movies. He's great. He's the reason why I think those movies are so good. One of the scenes I really love from just Vacation is when he's having that moment with his son, and his son's supposedly drinking his first beer, and Clark is just sitting there talking to him, and the whole time he's talking, Anthony Michael Hall just freaking chugs that beer, in one fell swoop, all the way down the hatch. It's a really, really funny scene. You can tell that not his first time having a beer. Scarlett Johansson as Catwoman. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, you were seeing a lot more of that too, like actors jumping from comic book role to comic book role. Like Ryan Reynolds, Chris Evans, there's a few of them. Tony Movie Chappie, Neil Blomkamp, #1 fan. What are my thoughts on the Paranormal Activity movies? I like the first one, and I think I did like the second one too. I've only seen both those movies once, but they got me. Like, if you get me with a good scare at the end of a movie, a good cheap scare, then you can usually win me over. And I think they're pretty effective. I think they just shot themselves in the foot with all the sequels. 3, then 4, then Ghost Dimension, I think. But I'm not a big found footage guy to begin with. I remember seeing the original Blair Witch Project in the theater when all that, like, I don't want to call it controversy, but when all the hoopla was going on around it. And everybody, thought it was real. I thought it was real when I went to see it in the theater. It was marketed as a documentary. It wasn't marketed as fiction. And so it was cool sitting there watching something that I thought would really happen. And I got to give major props to the actors too, because they sold it. They really sold, because A, these aren't known actors at all. We didn't know any of these actors. And B, it felt authentic. Not an easy thing to do. And they did it. Now, a lot of that was because the director would depend on their reactions more than actual lines. So, I think it was a genius marketing plan, and it made like almost $150 million on, I want to say, like $11,000 budget or something like that. Insane. But yeah, I'm not a big found footage guy, because after that movie came out, there was just a slew of found footage movies. Most of them pretty bad. Or the ones that I saw anyway. I know there's a fan base out there for found footage movies, but I'm not the biggest fan of them. But Paranormal Activity was another good example of a found footage movie done right. Because if you remember, before that movie came out, like I said, there were a slew of these movies. And so then this movie comes out and blows everybody's socks off because it was effective. It felt like a real horror story. It felt authentic. Even though people knew this time they weren't going to be duped. They knew it was fake. But for some reason it worked, and they sold it. And maybe that's because I think the setting, it was like in the suburbs. It could be in my house. You know, that's what it felt like. Like this could happen in my house right now. You know, couple sleeping in their bed at night, you know, just regular Americans doing their, you know, day to day. That's what it felt like. You know, it felt like neighborhood horror. Thomas Woodcock, would you agree Christopher Lee is the best Dracula ever? And would you say Gary Oldman is the best Dracula? Or would you say Gary Oldman? I prefer Gary Oldman because I think he's the first Dracula I saw. I saw Bram Stoker's Dracula in the theater in '92 when it came out. And I was just floored by Gary Oldman's performance. And I had not seen Christopher Lee's performance, but I could totally see Christopher Lee being a great Dracula. I still to this day haven't seen Christopher Lee as Dracula. But yeah, I could totally see him doing he has that look even. But Gary Oldman was refreshing because he didn't look like the typical Dracula that we know and love, you know, with the slick black hair, with the, I guess you'd call it like a point in the middle of it, you know, the cape, all that stuff. I guess like you see in Van Helsing, that really horrible movie. You know, Gary Oldman, he brought something different. They wanted to actually honor the actual source material even further. So, and Gary Oldman's performance was really, really good. Yeah, Gary Oldman's awesome. Cinema Junkies, how you doing, Jacob? Nice to see you in here, man. Got to get back to editing. I'll watch the rest tomorrow. Have fun. Yeah, man. When I first started this thing, I was talking about editing and how much of a pain in the ass it is. And just so you guys know, a lot of times I'll miss a lot of your comments, and when I go back on the replay, I'll read through the comments. So, because I really dig reading all your comments and whatnot, and a lot of times your comments, like, they give me ideas. It's kind of cool. Jesse Tribble, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Hugh Larson, did you ever see the fan film with the found footage from Haddonfield Hospital? It's called Absolute Evil. If so, thoughts? No, I have not seen that, actually. I don't even think I've heard of that one. But that sounds interesting. I do love hospital slashers. Let's see. Monster Squad is the cat's tits. Yeah, Monster Squad's awesome. I love Monster Squad. Thank God Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards. I don't know. I don't want to say he pushed it on me, but there was something. He named his channel after the movie. You know, so that got me curious. It's like, this movie must be a really good movie if you're naming your channel after it. So that kind of made me want to watch it. So, David King, what's up, man? Nice to see you in here. Do you think you will be able to do a review for Inception with this extra time you will have, please? Yes, I actually love Inception so much, if I'm being honest. Like, it is one of the best movies to come out in the last decade. It is excellent. What was it, 2010? I think that came out. And I was actually planning on picking up the 4K, because that's definitely a movie you want to watch in 4K. And I think the thing that makes me hesitant to do it, like, right away is it's a big movie. You know, like, somebody just mentioned Lord of the Rings. Like, hey, are you ever going to review Lord of the Rings? Because I always talk about Lord of the Rings, how much I love it. And to do Lord of the Rings, you're not going to turn in a 6-minute review for Lord of the Rings. Same thing with Inception. When I put out that review, that's probably going to be at least a good 20 minutes long. And that's just the work that I want to put into a movie of that caliber because it deserves it. So I will say that definitely this year, that movie's coming out, though. That review is definitely coming out. And I want to make it special, though, David. I don't want to just, I don't want to half-ass it. That's definitely a movie. I don't like to half-ass any review, but something that big, I definitely don't want to half-ass. Yeah, may your family be safe, too. Jason Mongold, what's up, brother? Nice to see you in here. Have you seen Memento? That was a great Nolan movie. Hell yeah, it was. That's an amazing movie, and it's amazing that the whole movie is like in reverse, which kind of makes me think of Tenet. How Tenet, it's like these guys are in the world as we know it going forward, and they enter this. I don't know if it's a dimension or whatever, that everything's going backwards. It's a very strange plot, and I know they're keeping a lot of the details close to the vest, but Tenet is so high on my radar. I mean, anything Nolan does is way high on my radar anyway. Barely anyone says nards anymore, but says or cojones. I haven't heard cojones in a long time. By the way, speaking of cojones, have you guys seen season 3 of Ozark? It was excellent. Yeah, Rocky 5 definitely cojones. That's the last time I remember when he's telling his kid those horrible jokes. Or that horrible joke. That scene in Rocky 5 when he like walks in and tells Rocky Jr. that joke, and there's the drawing of the girl with the massive breasts. I'm like, what is this doing in a Rocky movie? I remember sitting in the theater thinking that, like, what the hell is this? Very, very short. What was I talking about? Yeah, I was talking about Ozark, season 3. I just finished it today. Excellent. It was so good that I wanted to go back and watch season 1 and season 2 because I don't remember. My memory's horrible. I don't remember season 1 and season 2 at all. But I can't recommend Ozark enough. Really, really good show. I dug it. I really dug it. And I posted this on my Facebook page, I think yesterday. There's an actor in there, Tom Pelphrey. I remember he was also in Iron Fist. But wow, what an actor. Like this guy, he's definitely going to give you those Logan Marshall Green and Tom Hardy vibes. So now there's 3 people that look alike in Hollywood. But man, what an actor. All 3 of those guys are amazing actors too. What if all 3 of those guys got in the same movie and they played triplets and they called the movie Triplets and it was like an action movie? I'd go see that. And it could be the return of the action star, right? Triplets. Timestamp that right here. I called it, so that way if they ever make this movie, I'm getting paid. Game of Thrones, 1 episode of season 1 of Ozark to watch. Stuart Waldy. 1 episode of season 1 of Ozark to watch. I'm not following. Okay, Haley, this might be off topic, but do you ever plan on reviewing the Elektra director's cut yet with this coronavirus going? If you can, give you time to do some of your requested reviews. I have, and I'm not pushing you off at all, Tony. I have a stack that I have to get to of at least 5 movies right now. Not saying I won't do it, but the list that I have to get to, and usually I try to do like a top 10 at least once a week, or maybe once every 2 weeks. So getting to it is going to be tough, but I will say that would be an interesting movie to kind of dig into sometime this year, because I did review Daredevil, the director's cut of Daredevil years ago, and that would be kind of a nice companion review to do to that. And I do like reviewing quote-unquote bad movies. A lot of people hated Elektra. I wasn't one of those people. I thought Elektra was actually, it was okay. It was decent. I thought it had some great production value. It felt like a nice continuation. I thought that Jennifer Garner was perfect for the role. I think she gives one of the better female comic book hero performances in that movie. So it's one of those movies that's kind of a conundrum for me. Like, why did this movie get like Catwoman hate? Because this movie is like 10 times better than Catwoman. I think it's a little forgettable in some parts, but it's still. Am I reviewing this movie right now as I'm talking? Is that what's happening? It's like an accidental review. Oh. Yes, I did know that there's a Crow TV series, Stairway to Heaven. I caught a little bit of it, and I don't know, and it was right after Brandon Lee died, I remember. It was right after The Crow came out, because I believe that series came out, I want to say before the sequel, but I could be wrong. It might have been after the sequel, City of Angels, but it was tough for me to get into, and I can't really give a fair assessment because I only saw like a little bit of it. I didn't even see, I think, all of even one episode. So, but speaking of TV, one review that here's an example for you, Tony, about Elektra. One review that's been on my slate that I've already watched, actually, like 2 months ago now, is the Prometheus episode of the TV show The Incredible Hulk. I've been planning on reviewing that, and I've already watched it. I already got notes written down for it, and I still haven't sat down and reviewed it yet. That's what I'm talking about. My schedule's, it goes like 2 months back from now. It's crazy. Yeah, Richie Works says, I can talk about Ozark all day. I got my sister to watch it, and she loves it. But man, what an ending to season 3. Yeah, that ending was awesome. I'm not going to spoil it, but wow, what an ending. Yeah, definitely a great show. Definitely a great show. Let's see. Craig Adams, have you seen Cemetery Man? Great movie. Cemetery Man. I don't think so. For a second, I was thinking of Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe, the boxing movie, which is excellent, directed by Ron Howard. But that's not the movie you're talking about. Cemetery Man, I don't think so. It sounds very familiar, though. Jason Mongold says, Elektra got hate because of all the hatred Daredevil got, I think. And I love Daredevil. Yeah, me too, man. I'll even say I might prefer the theatrical cut over the director's cut. Now, I prefer the violence in the director's cut, but I didn't think that whole extra subplot with... God, what's the rapper's name that's in the movie? I can't remember his name. But I didn't really care about that subplot as much. So I think there's a better version of the movie out there that's a little bit of a mixture of both. But yeah, I love Daredevil, actually. I've loved it ever since it first came out. Keon Bonner says, do you remember that Demon Knight with William Sadler? No. I love William Sadler, though, actually. Shawshank Redemption, and he got the horse apple. He's great. Damn, my freaking... Am I going to have to put on Olivia Newton-John? Is that going to have to happen? I'm doing it. Give me a second. I'm putting on Olivia Newton-John. I have Olivia Newton-John playing right now. Thanks to Beth S. Don't you judge me. Heart attack? Giving me a heart attack. Are you ever going to do a top 5 John Carpenter films, Matthew Moochman? Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of top 10s I want to do. The reason I haven't done a John Carpenter one is because I still need to watch Assault on Precinct 13 and They Live, Body Bags. I haven't seen Body Bags yet. There's a few John Carpenter movies I haven't seen, even though he's my favorite director. Isn't that crazy? And I constantly get flack for not having seen They Live yet. And I'm sure it's amazing. I just haven't had the chance to watch it yet. All right, here we go. Shane Moser. Who else hates Rob Zombie's 31 movie is bad? Yeah, I didn't like Rob Zombie's 31. I think there was potential there. I I guess gamey types of horror movies. I hated the villains. That's pretty much what it came down to. I think Doomhead was pretty decent, played by Richard Brake, but everything outside of Doomhead, I didn't really like at all. Funny enough, Sherry Moon Zombie and Jeff Daniel Phillips, I liked in it. So I've only watched it once, but there's a lot of bad in the movie. There's a lot of Rob Zombie in the movie, and I mean the bad Rob Zombie, you know? Brad Movies, do you own the movie Near Dark? Because I can't find it anywhere. Yes, I do, actually. Somebody sent it to me. I can't remember. I have the Blu-ray of it, and I know it went out of print. So it's one of those out-of-print movies that's hard to find now, or you'll have to pay a pretty penny for it. But I would say just wait, because I think eventually it will come to Blu-ray, like Shout Factory or something like that. Seems like they all like it was. It shocked me that Valentine finally got picked up for Blu-ray, because there was no Blu-ray release of that movie whatsoever. I hung on to that DVD for so many years, and I'd almost given up hope. And then finally, our first Blu-ray release was Shout Factory. Shout Factory usually gets like the second edition of any movie. So, yeah, but I would say, yeah, Near Dark will probably see Blu-ray eventually. That's a great movie, though. I like Near Dark. Really good. Good vampire movie. I'm going to turn that down just a second. Okay. Chase Moser, what's up, man? Nice to see you in here. Jason Nike says, I was lucky enough to get Near Dark on Blu-ray. I got mine at a used media store. Yeah, and I like going to used media stores too. A lot of times you can find a lot of stuff that you don't see even online, you know? Some nice little hidden gems. It's kind of nice. We have a massive thrift store here. And it's like a big area-wide one, and it's huge. It's really huge, and they have like so many vinyl sections in there. There's one store that has like VHS movies, but I've pretty much cleared out anything that's worthy of horror, you know, in terms of horror. There's a lot of like action and drama type movies, but really, I'm really specific about what I want on VHS now, and most of my stuff is horror. But because I'm going to be honest, if it's like most action movies, most drama movies, I'm probably going to watch the Blu-ray. I'm probably not going to watch the VHS. But for some reason, horror, there's something cool about watching horror on VHS. You know, not all the time, but just sometimes. It's nice. Daniel Chavez, have I seen Shaun of the Dead? Of course I have. I've seen Shaun of the Dead so many times, it's crazy. That whole Ice Cream trilogy is, I mean, it's freaking Edgar Wright, you know? Guy's a freaking genius. I just watched Scott Pilgrim again for the umpteenth time last week. That was one of the few times I actually was able to watch something and not have to think about reviewing it. That was probably the first movie in a long time that I've been able to just watch without no expectations, not having to go review. It was nice. It was nice. Michael Myers, love that name. He says, Lee, if you had the chance to write and direct a Halloween reboot with a new Myers and a new generation going against the shape, what would you do? Wow. Oh, God. Off the top of my head. Jesus. Because I'm just so focused on what's going on with Kills and Ends right now that I haven't even like thought about where would you go after this. I tell you this. I think I would like them to not reboot. I mean, in terms of telling Michael Myers' story, like they do in the first movie. You know, I don't want to remake of the first movie again. I think it would be cool if they act like the next movie's a sequel, but not necessarily tell you that it's a sequel to any certain movie. You know, just kind of like hit the ground running. And I guess kind of like what they did with The Incredible Hulk, how that movie, it doesn't necessarily state that it's a sequel to the Eric Bana Hulk. It just kind of hit the ground running. And then you got Bruce Banner just on the run. Kind of the same thing, just Michael Myers is out there. We don't know if this is a sequel to anything. We got a complete brand new batch of characters. And maybe tell his story in the exposition along the way. You know? I think that'd be kind of cool. And I think there'd be no expectations with it in terms of like timeline. Because the timeline's already completely screwed as it is anyway. So why not just have fun? No matter what you do, you're going to face criticism with the Halloween franchise at this point. If you reboot, you're going to face criticism. If you make it a sequel to, say, Halloween 4, 5, 6, whatever, you're going to face criticism. Resurrection. So, you can't win no matter what. So, you know what? Just make a fresh movie. You know, that's just not bouncing off of anything. But just make Michael Myers scary as hell. You know, that's the big thing. All those core components that you need in there. Myers. Loomis. I'm for bringing Loomis back. Or even like, a descendant of Loomis, like what they did in that Halloween Night fan film. You know? I need a Loomis type of character if I can't have Loomis. Doesn't that sound like a song? If I can't have Loomis, I don't want nobody, baby. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's my knee-jerk reaction Halloween movie idea after Ends. We almost have an hour behind us, guys. How about that? And I'm having a blast with you guys. This is cool. What are you guys doing for fun for this quarantine? Have you discovered anything new about yourself during this quarantine? Do you find that you appreciate things a little bit more than you did before, or what's the word I'm looking? Anytime you go through a big change in your life, you often discover something about yourself, or you reflect on something. I don't know. I guess, what have you learned from this quarantine? Or is it just like any other day? Are you really, really that introverted that it's just like any other day? And can you hear physical in the background? I don't know if you guys can hear that. Not that I care if YouTube gets the money from my video, because most of the time it seems like they do anyway. Okay, let's see. Gory Tiger says, I wrote that a Loomis song last night. That sounds cool. Will Smith says, I discovered that I can walk. Yeah, I'm trying to actually. I mean, I run anyway, but that's definitely, because now that I have time to do it, like tomorrow morning, before I go to work, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna go run for a 5K. And if I don't run, sometimes I go for a walk. It's kind of nice to do. And I noticed that too. Like, we went into quarantine, like official quarantine, the other day. And so the next morning, I figured I'd go out and it'd be like I Am Legend. It'd be like a ghost town. Nope. Because everybody was obviously going to work. But I saw people like just running down the street, runners. I saw people like going into the freaking parking lots of the stores. It was like nothing ever happened. Charles Thompson. Oh my God. Thank you for bringing up Tiger King. Holy shit. That is the most binge-worthy show I think I've ever seen. Like, I watched Don't Fuck with Cats. That's only 3 episodes, and I watched the damn thing twice. It was so riveting. This is kind of that type of scenario. Tiger King is, wow. It's crazy, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen. Because it has so many, like the characters in the show, it's like sometimes you like the Tiger King guy, and then sometimes you like the girl, what's her name? Carol Baskin. Sometimes you like Carol Baskin, like her motive, her cause that she's fighting for is reputable, but she as a person, at least according to the show, it seems like there's some evil qualities there. So it makes for great television though. So, man, what a show though. Like I said, 7 episodes and I flew right through it in like 2 days. And I wanted more. It's definitely cheeseburger television. But it's a car wreck you can't stop watching. Thank you very much, Alicia. That's it. Did somebody say remake Rocky? No, you don't. You definitely don't do that. You don't do that at all. Beth says, we have been outdoors as much as possible. I've enjoyed being checked out from the normal 90 to nothing life. Haven't drove my car in almost a week. Nice. Yeah, and I have to go. Like I have to go to work. Pretty much in my normal schedule. And tomorrow we're actually going to be wearing masks, like face masks, at work all day. So it feels like my life isn't as halted as some people's are, because some people, they've lost their jobs throughout this thing. Some people have jobs, but they won't let them go to work. Or some people, they work from home. Like my son, he's actually working from home right now. He says he loves it too, by the way. But I guess for me, it's like my life's kind of the same, except instead of going, we can't go into restaurants. There's none of that. Shane Moser says, Lee, would you watch a horror movie called The Asylum of Hell? And it's a hard R movie and not PG-13 crap horror movie. The Asylum of Hell. Never even heard of it. I'll have to look into it for sure. Thomas Woodcock says, I enjoy when you talk about the worst films and you give them a Looped in Hell. Yeah, Looped in Hell videos are fun. Like I said, I don't plan on giving a movie a Looped in Hell. That's why I don't have that many Looped in Hell. I probably have a handful of Looped in Hell movies in my entire review catalog. But it is fun when I find one, and I like to rip it to shreds. But it's not, I don't know, it's not like something like I want to be funny on this review. It's not like I'm going into it like that. It's just hard not to do it. Joshua Powell, are you the one that I was in the military with? It says, Lee, I got booted from EMT school for this. How does that even make sense? There's a lot that doesn't make sense about this whole thing. I think, we're trying to figure it out. It's pretty insane right now. And what's really scary is like not knowing where we're going to be in a month, Like, I mean, I'm really hoping and praying that come June we start crawling out of this, but it's 50-50, And it's crazy that it depends on us. It depends on us doing our part, being careful, practicing the social distancing, staying at home as much as possible. I think this is it's interesting that we have the power to make this thing go away. It's crazy, but it's scary, and it's not that I want to judge people for going out, because some people have to go out. Sometimes you have to go out to buy groceries. Sometimes you just got to go out. Sometimes you got to go to work. I don't know. It's tough. I'm not here to judge anybody, but it's just a weird situation. Yeah, Josh, it's good to see you in here, man. I remember you were one of my first 100 subs. Dude, when I hit 100 subs, I thought I had hit 1 million subs. You'd think I hit 1 million subs because I was like, oh my God, I just hit 100 subs. And I thought that was like the greatest thing ever. And it is. It's still the greatest thing ever. When you first start YouTube from zero, like I did, when you hit 100 subs, it's huge. It feels like, wow, I climbed a mountain, So now I got to go to the next mountain and the next mountain. But yeah, it was cool. I think it's cool those first, I'd say like the first 1,000, because you're kind of figuring yourself out. You're discovering what you're good at, what you're not good at. I think it's probably one of the most exciting times because you don't, like when I first started, I thought there's no way in hell I'm gonna get, like, my goal was 500 when I first started. Once I started taking it seriously, I was like, okay, I'd like to get to 500 subs. To me, that sounds huge. That sounds amazing. And 10,000 for me, it felt like impossible. It felt like that's something that I could never achieve. You know, that guy over there, he's doing it, but I can't do that. I literally thought that in my head. I thought there's no way I will ever reach 10,000 subs. And it just happened. It's just a weird thing. I don't know. It's very strange. Like, I remember when we watched a movie hit 10,000, and I was probably at 100 subs. And I remember saying, congrats, guys. And I didn't even know them at the time. And even back then, they were, you know, they're such great guys, such cool guys, that this little guy that had nothing, they were like, thanks a lot, man. You're cool. You know, they're one of those channels that I always aspired to be like. You know, no matter where I'm at, 100 subs, million subs, engage with my audience. And that's not even hard to do. I enjoy talking with my audience. You know, like what I'm doing right now. I was itching to actually sit down and chat with you guys. So that's one of the coolest aspects of YouTube too, you know, just that community. It's really cool. Being able to talk to like-minded folk about horror, because I can't talk about horror like I talk to you guys. You know, I could talk to Josh when we were working together, but he was one of the few people in my life that I could ever talk about movies with to that degree, you know? I could talk to any one of you guys. Jesse Tribble. I could talk to Jesse Tribble right now about Friday the 13th Part 5 and Roy. And most people that I talk to about Roy in my normal life, they give me that dog that's just been shown a card trick look. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I gotta put on another vinyl. Give me a second, guys. Beth, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Guys, look what I'm about to throw on. I'm excited. Are you excited? You're not even going to be able to hear it probably, but this is such a great soundtrack. It really is. It's like the greatest freaking soundtrack I've ever heard. Say what you want about Halloween 2018, but man, don't you dare fuck with that soundtrack. It's amazing. So, I'm throwing it in. This is not the the extended version. This is the regular version, which I haven't listened to in a while, actually, the regular version. I mostly go right to the extended version. We all float down here. That's right, Shane. That is absolutely right. All right. Here we go. Yeah, Beth, I have the white one back there. I just display that one, and I play the other one, and then I have three vinyls of Halloween 2018 because I got the extended version too. I think Beth told me about the. I think didn't you send me the link for the extended version? Beth always hooks me up. Always hooks me up with the great links. Thomas Woodcock, you guys got me wanting to watch Halloween 2018. I haven't watched it in a while. I might actually throw it in after this. Check it out. It'd be kind of cool, actually. Child's Play soundtrack. I don't have the Child's Play soundtrack. I don't even remember any of it. I mean, I remember a couple of the tracks from Child's Play, but for the most part, I don't think I remember it that well. Richie Work says, do you think that the movie Cujo should be remade? Because I think that could be a movie that would be updated and remade. Yeah, but the problem... Ooh. Man, that sounds so cool. Hold on, Can you guys hear that? Let me turn it up a little bit. Do you hear it? I hope you can. What was I talking about? Oh, Cujo. They're making that there's that Harrison Ford movie coming out, and I saw the trailer for it, and it's got that CGI dog in it. And it's a Cujo type dog. And I was just like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see CGI dogs in movies. Unless it's just for like one scene, but the entire movie, a CGI dog? No. And I don't mind like animated movies with dogs. I don't know what it is, but when you mix CGI dogs with real world people, that doesn't work for me at all. Let me see what else we got. Oh, so you guys hear it? Sounds great, huh? Yeah, sounds awesome. Yeah, I think this soundtrack is so good because it's not just a couple of tracks, like Laurie's theme's really good, and of course the main theme's really good. This soundtrack, it's like every track is so good. Like the prison escape scene, the Michael Burns scene, and they're all different. But there's a lot of, I think it's an emotional thing too. Like this soundtrack has so much emotion in it. And if you give me emotion in a horror movie, that just makes it that much better. So, yeah, CGI has a video game look. I don't like that, Jimmy Hayes. I don't like that. Okay. Do you think the soundtrack to both Hereditary and Midsommar are haunting? I love it. Yeah, both those soundtracks are excellent. And very different, actually. Aaron Johnson, Lee, what are your thoughts on the movie Die Hard with Bruce Willis? It has a great story. My favorite scene is the vault opening, and it plays Beethoven during it. Yeah, that is a cool scene. That's a scene that, of course, I've seen Die Hard 8,000 times, but that's a scene that like nobody talks about. I like the computer guy in there, the tech guy with the glasses. He's probably one of the better side characters in the movie. But yeah, Die Hard's a classic, man. It is a Christmas movie. Die Hard works so well too because Bruce Willis could be me. It could be you. It could be. He's the everyman. Yeah, sure he's a cop, but he's not like Stallone and he's not like Schwarzenegger. And I think it came out at the perfect time. That was the type of action film that we needed for the time. Because the market was getting saturated with, Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Van Damme and even Steven Seagal because of his martial arts ability at the time. Right now he's got cheeseburger ability, but back then he had martial arts ability. So, okay, I'm going to turn that down so that way I can hear myself think. Oh, no problem, Dan Heron. No problem at all, man. I'm having a great time. The Halloween 2 soundtrack is amazing. Let me see. I think 2 would be my second favorite. The first one would be my third favorite. I have a real soft spot for the Halloween 6 soundtrack. Like, I really love the Halloween 6 soundtrack, the theatrical cut, because I like that rock-inspired vibe of that score. I think it works. Because I I thought, at least watching the movie for Halloween 5, I felt like the score, it was hit and miss, and it was a lot of miss. But I need to listen to the actual vinyl for the Halloween 5 score, because maybe it'll change my mind a little bit. But I think the actual theme itself on Halloween 5, it felt a little lazy, you know? Yeah, right now I'm listening to the Prison Exchange when Laurie's just sitting in the car and she just starts screaming. Oh, I love that scene. I mean, when, you know what? I always talk poorly about Jamie Lee Curtis, but she really shined in that scene when she screams at the top of her lungs. I remember just sitting in the theater and just chill bumps. Just chill bumps. I hope Mondo re-releases part 6, but then it won't fit in our box set. Yeah, I know. What we need, Beth, is a new box set. That's what we need. So that way, because what is it? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we would need 6, H2O, and then Resurrection. Resurrection's actually got a decent score. And then the Rob Zombie. I would actually like a vinyl for Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Does that even exist? The Shining soundtrack, Thomas, is excellent, actually. Yeah. It's considered to be a disturbing noise. I like that, though. Like, I have the original Black Christmas soundtrack, and a lot of that is disturbing noises, but it's a creepy soundtrack. And I love having a Black Christmas soundtrack. I mean, I saw it at Spooky Empire last year when I went to Spooky Empire. If you've never been to a horror convention, go for the merch alone. That's one thing I noticed. And I've been to 3 conventions now over the last 3 years because I go every year. But the first time I went, I thought I was just going to go to meet celebrities. But then I got there and I was like, oh my God, the merch section is massive. And there's so many great horror titles that you will not find in your local Best Buy or Walmart or any place like that. I thought I was in heaven. And I mean, all the t-shirts, but the vinyls too. There's tons of great horror vinyls like Waxwork, Mondo. And I was flipping through and I saw Black Christmas and it was $30. And I was like, please take my money. Please. I was throwing the money at him. I had to have that. Rawhead Rex score is so good. Very good score, actually. It's got a monster movie type feel to it, which is awesome. Another really good horror score too, which I would love to see a vinyl for, is Hell Night. Hell Night has another one of those 40s, 50s types of scores. Very big orchestral sounding, but in a good way. Yeah. TJ Studios Entertainment. Have you seen Empire of the Sun? I think I saw parts of it. Isn't that the one with Christian Bale when he's a kid in it? Directed by Steven Spielberg? I think he did that one. No, I don't think so. I saw parts of it, but I don't remember it at all. What are you guys drinking? Is anybody drinking? Drinking good stuff? I don't drink. I just drink Monster and I drink Coke and I try to drink water. I don't drink enough water, but I have water with me here. I'm not drinking a Monster today because I had a Monster. When I edit, I like to have Monster, and when I record, I like to have Monster. And I usually don't do both on the same day. Usually I'll record on the weekends. And sometimes I'll do 3 videos. Sometimes I'll record 4 videos. And I usually sip on a Monster while I'm doing that. And then I edit throughout the week. But I try not to drink more than 1 Monster a day. Because it is horrible for you. It really is. Doritos and a Coke. Man, I love Doritos. I have some Cool Ranch Doritos in there, actually. Beer. Richie's having a cold beer. I would like to see a horror movie about tornadoes, Junebug Films. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. That'd be a real good idea, actually. Oh my God, I was actually thinking about a horror movie idea today. It was just one of those random things that just popped in my head, and I was like, ooh, what if they like, combine that with a horror movie? But I can't for the life of me think about what it was now. Don't you hate that? Like, that's why you got to write down your ideas right when they come to you, you know? LaCroix sparkling water. Nice. Yeah, monsters are horrible for your stomach. Richie Work. Definitely horrible for your stomach. Have you seen Trilogy of Terror 1 and 2? Keon Bonner. Trilogy of Terror. No. I think I do have... I think Gabriel, one of my patrons, I think he sent me the Trilogy of Terror Blu-ray. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. But, Tony Movie says, do you think that it was a mistake for Kevin Feige fired Edward Norton as a Hulk? I do. And I'm probably one of the few that does think that, because I much preferred Norton as the Hulk over Mark Ruffalo. I like Mark Ruffalo as an actor. I think he's great. I loved him in Zodiac. Just about everything he does, he's a great actor. But I liked the direction they were going with the Hulk in the Norton movie, because it was a more serious tone. It was more emotional. And I think Norton conveyed that. That's what Norton wanted to do with the character. He didn't want to make him silly and a joke and a punchline. And I'm not saying they always do that. With especially like in the first Avengers, there are some nice moments with the Hulk here and there, especially in the first. Even like Age of Ultron has a couple of nice Hulk moments, but I much preferred Norton as the Hulk. I thought he was great as the Hulk, actually. And I think that one thing I loved about it was that it honored the TV series with Bill Bixby, because I grew up a Bixby fan, like a really big Bill Bixby fan. I don't think anybody will ever capture the spirit of Bruce Banner like Bill Bixby, even though they called him David Banner in the show. I heard that because a lot of people said, why did they call him David Banner? Because he's Bruce Banner. And I kid you not, this is the real reason, at least if you watch the behind the scenes. The reason they didn't call him Bruce was because they thought Bruce sounded homosexual. That was one of the stories I heard, which is preposterous, stupid. But that was one of the reasons why they called him David Banner instead of Bruce. All right. Night, Beth. Have a good one. Emo Hulk. Now, are you talking about the Edward Norton? See, I didn't consider him like an emo Hulk. I think Hulk's always been a very emotional type of character, even in the comics. This is a guy that's just completely conflicted all the time. That's the version of the character that I've always dug. Steven says, Yoli, I know Halloween is your favorite franchise, but what's your ranking out of Nightmare Friday, Child's Play, and Texas Chainsaw? Holy shit. Oh, man. Oh, that's a tall order. I'll have to sit down and, like, I don't have an answer. I'll have to put them all together, because that would be a really tough one to put. You're talking about like a 31 on 31 type deal. I know what you're going for here, but yeah, I would have to, and I'm not going to put out a 31 on 31 video for that, because I don't want to like step on any toes or anything like that. But maybe for like the next stream, I could. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises though. That's a tall order to put that many movies together. Because when I did the first 31 on 31 with the big three, that was no easy feat. It was tough to put all three of those franchises in order. It was really tough, and I could almost redo that video and have a completely different list. I know Halloween 2018 wouldn't be nearly as high as it was the first time I did it. But thank you for asking. I do appreciate that. Thank you for asking, Steven. But I will say, like, out of all those franchises you gave me, those first movies out of all those franchises are definitely going to weigh pretty high on the list. It seems like that's kind of the thing with a lot of those franchises. It's Like the Child's Play franchise, it seems like they're top heavy, and then they just get worse and worse as they go. Although I do like the Child's Play remake, I think that one's actually pretty decent. And I actually was I liked Cult of Chucky. I did. But I'm not a Child's Play fanatic, you know? I like Child's Play. They're fun movies. I love when Chucky's kind of zany and gives his crazy one-liners. So maybe that's why I liked Cult. I wasn't digging too deep into the plot. Maybe I should have. Strange Planet, New York City. Your thoughts on the Saw films? I really like the first one. I think the second one, they threw me for a loop with the twist in the second one. I didn't see that coming. Not gonna say what it was. I don't want to spoil it. But after that, I think the plot, and I've only watched these movies once since that. I haven't even watched the last one yet. But I think the plot got so convoluted along the way, like. That story is just so intertangled, and they're trying to constantly like reach back to other movies. And you got to be really a fan of the franchise. You got to be really invested to even, I guess, give a crap, you know. So it was, it's a tough franchise for me to really get invested in. I may go back and watch them again one day if I ever do a franchise review on Saw, but it's probably not going to be anytime soon. But I do love that first movie. Like that reveal at the end too. And I'll spoil the first movie, okay? So if you haven't seen the first Saw, plug your ears for like 20 seconds. But yeah, when he gets up off the floor at the end of that movie, I remember sitting in the theater being like, holy shit, how did I not? That was genius. I did not see that coming whatsoever. Really cool, really cool. And I like the idea of Jigsaw, you know, punishing people, not having to lay a finger on his victims. I think that is interesting. That is cool. Kneel before Terrence Stamp. Kneel before Zod. Superman 2 was the first movie I saw in the theater when I was 6 years old. And that movie made me like a Superman fanatic. You know, like I wanted to fly so bad after seeing Superman 2. When he fights Zod and his henchmen, like the scene where Supes, he flies up to the window when he's been gone for a while, and he says, "General Zod, would you care to step outside?" I lost it. That was the greatest, the coolest thing ever. But I really like Man of Steel too. Like I love Superman as a character. I didn't like Superman Returns. I think that was a wasted effort. But, yeah, big Superman fan. Steven says, do you like Nightmare franchise or Friday franchise more? You know what? I'd say Nightmare. But even that might be the wrong answer because it's tough because both franchises are so different. And I think Friday might have more movies that I like. Matter of fact, I know Friday has more movies that I like over Nightmare. But the movies that I like over on the Nightmare franchise, I prefer over any of the Friday movies, if that makes sense. So I think when Nightmare's good, it's my preferred franchise. I do love Freddy Krueger as a character. I think he's much, much more interesting than Jason Voorhees, if I'm being honest. But they're like two completely different characters, and I'm glad they both exist. I don't prefer the Richard Donner cut. I actually like the Lester cut. And maybe there's some nostalgia in there, but the Lester cut is a more fully realized vision. So to give the Richard Donner cut some slack, because that's not a finished version at all. But as a full movie, I definitely prefer the Lester cut. Michael Myers says, I was 2 years old when I watched Halloween. 2 years, wow. The movie had a big impact on my life because if I never saw that movie, I wouldn't be into horror and I wouldn't be into making films. How old were you? I know I saw the first Halloween before I saw Halloween 4. I saw Halloween 4 when I was 15 and I saw it in a theater. And that was the experience. That was the movie that made me the Halloween fan that I am today. I lost my shit. I was completely petrified, scared to death of Michael Myers for years after seeing Halloween 4 in the theater. It was one of the most memorable theater experiences I've ever had. So, I had seen the first movie before that. I appreciated it, but I wasn't the Halloween fan that I am today. Halloween 4 made me that. And I don't even remember the age I was when I did see. I do remember, there's a memory when my grandmother was over at the house, and we were watching the first Halloween. I want to say I was probably like 10, 11 years old. And it was the scene where Linda and Bob are having sex. And my grandma, I was sitting next to my grandma while that scene was going on. Talk about awkward. And then my grandma said to my dad, he shouldn't be watching this. And my dad kind of like laughed at the. My dad wasn't even paying attention to it. My dad doesn't like horror movies at all. So that was kind of a funny experience seeing the first. So I think I saw the first movie in like bits and pieces. Like I didn't see it fully. Because I didn't really appreciate it until after I was older, until I saw Halloween 4. A lot of good questions coming in here. What do you think about Candyman 2? Believe it or not, Owen, I have not seen Candyman 2. Owen Sarter. I have not seen Candyman 2 yet. I've only seen the first Candyman. That's it. That's all I ever cared to watch. I saw the first Candyman when it first came out, I believe, on VHS. And that was in the 90s. And I had not seen it until a couple years ago when I watched it again and reviewed it. That was the first time I'd seen Candyman since. But love the first Candyman. The first Candyman is like top tier horror. Like excellent, excellent movie. Let me flip my record. Hold on. Okay, I had to grab a snack too. I'm really having a blast just chatting with you guys, though. I really am. This is cool. I have a. Was this a chewy? Oh, I about dropped it. Hold on. It's a chewy peanut butter chocolate chip Quaker granola bar, right there. So, Alicia says my first naughty movie my dad took me to was Cool World with Brad Pitt. He thought it was a cartoon. I saw Cool World in the theater. When I first came in the military, they had the dollar theater, and I think they do still have dollar theaters. But I remember going to, like, we would go to the movies, and we would pay for one movie, and then we would just theater hop. And so I remember we went and saw Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes, and we saw Cool World. And I think it's one that, like, I walked in and I probably missed like the first 10 minutes of Cool World. But it was, for me, it was like a very forgettable movie. But, you know, I think when you don't pay for a movie, you don't like appreciate it enough. So, yeah, Cool World, though, that's, yeah, one of Brad Pitt's first movies, too. Brad Pitt actually tried out for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 as Jesse. And he didn't get the part, obviously. But can you imagine that? Brad Pitt as Jesse? Thank God Mark Patton got it, though. I think Mark Patton was excellent as Jesse. Haley, have you ever been knocked on a door by one of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and what are your thoughts on that religion? You know what? I'm not like, I grew up in a Pentecostal household. My father was a Pentecostal preacher, believe it or not. And I used to see like what they call holy rolling, and I'd see people jumping up and down. And, you know, I went to church on Wednesdays, twice on Sundays. And it's one of those things that it was like, I don't want to say it was like forced on me, but it was just kind of, I just felt like I was overexposed to church when I was young. So once I left home, I think I consider myself a spiritual person, but I've never been like overly religious, if that makes sense. You know, I don't really know too much about Jehovah's Witnesses. I think I remember Jehovah's Witnesses in Airplane, which is one of the funniest comedies I've ever seen. But outside of that, I don't know too much about Jehovah's Witnesses. And like I said, I'm not a big like religion guy either, you know. But I'm one of those guys that like I respect everyone's religion. Everyone has the right to believe whatever they want to believe, and it's not for me and it's not for you to completely shit on them for what they believe. I don't because I think that's a sacred thing, you know. It's part of the fabric of you as a person. So why should I completely shit on you for what you believe? I think that's wrong. So Strange Planet says Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult that arose in the late 1800s, founded by Charles Taze Russell. Okay. Interesting. Junebug Film says, I'm a Christian, but like, I believe in God and following the faith of religion, but I think there are Christians who are overly religious. I don't know if overly religious is the word, but I'm sorry I'm chewing while I'm talking, but I've just never been the type to go door to door. You know what I mean? I've never been the type to be talking to somebody and say, do you know Jesus Christ? I'm just not that type of person at all. I think religion is a private thing, and like some religions, they think they have to pull people over to their religion, you know, and I don't agree with that. I don't. I think it's a private thing. I think it should be respected like that, and because I think that's how you get yourself in trouble too. So, but what do I know? You know, like I said, I'm no religion expert. I'm probably wrong. You know, whatever. I don't know. Gory Tiger. Anybody see the X-Files with Bruce Campbell in it? No, I didn't see a single episode of the X-Files actually. And I'm sure I'm missing out. I've heard that there's some really, really good episodes of the X-Files. So, but I think my time has passed for watching X-Files just because it's such a big series. You know, there's like, I don't know how many seasons. Well, I'm just going to guess. What, 9? I don't know. Okay, Thomas Woodcock, would you say that the best Jokers, Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, or Jack Nicholson? They're all extremely different Jokers, and I don't think it's a fair assessment to say one is better than the other, unless it's obvious that one is better than the other. But amongst those three, and I'll even say Jared Leto was not given a proper chance at the Joker. He literally had 10 minutes, 15 tops. Whereas these other guys, they had a full 2 hours, especially Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix had an entire 2 hours, 2+ hours to craft that character. Heath Ledger had probably half that time and was able to make one of the most amazing and memorable Joker performances ever. And then Jack Nicholson, I think he captured that like older style Joker. But Jack Nicholson, I think, had some really, really great lines in the 89 movie. This town needs an enema. I'm glad you're dead. There's so many great lines that Jack Nicholson pulls off in that movie. I mean, I take nothing away from Jack Nicholson. One of my all-time favorite actors, by far. Am I looking forward to the Black Widow movie? I think the problem with the Black Widow movie is that, spoiler, if you haven't seen Endgame, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yeah, she died in Endgame. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Like, this is a movie that probably should have come out before Endgame. But I mean, I haven't seen the movie, so maybe I don't know something, you know? So, and I am suffering a little bit of MCU fatigue right now. So if I told you that I'm like over the moon for Black Widow, I'd probably be lying, and I don't want to lie to you. Who here believes Carol Baskin fed her husband to the tigers? The real question has just come out. I say yes. And I could be wrong, but, you know, and off just watching the TV show, I wouldn't put it past her. Because here's the thing about Carol Baskin. When she's first introduced in the show, in that first couple episodes, I thought she was eccentric, but I was on her side because I thought she's got a great cause going there. She doesn't want animals to be abused. But then you see she's got her own little zoo. I guess you could call it a zoo. I don't think she calls it a zoo, but she has animals that are in smaller cages than the animals that are in the other zoo. And she's no different than the other guy, the Tiger King. So as the show went on, I didn't really like her. She seemed vindictive, and she seemed like one of those people that's just sue happy, you know? Like just constantly wanting to sue. And there's people like that exist. One thing that I took from the show, and I'm not going to spoil it for you guys that haven't seen it, but I think there's an overall theme of the show. And why can't I remember his name? The main guy that's in the show. But when he started the whole tiger zoo, you know, business, he had the best intentions. This is a guy that really loved animals. You could tell that he loved tigers. And so I think he went into it with the best intentions, but then the greed took over and the money took over. And the more money you make, it's like the more problems you get. And then he got mixed up with the wrong types of people that took advantage of him. So, this is a guy that does some really horrible things, but at his core, there was something there that was a little likable. But like I said, Joe Exotic, thank you very much, Holly. Joe Exotic did some horrible things along the way, but at his core, there was something there that you could look back and say, this guy was a good guy. He fell and he never got back up, you know? And I guess I can relate to that, you know? And I think we all can relate to that, to falling down and, you know, getting back up, making a choice to, I want to get back up and I want to do the right thing and I want to rebuild myself. Or do I want to keep going down that road, you know, and just you know, and a lot of people have done that, you know, a lot of people have continued down that road, and sometimes they don't know that they're going down that road. And maybe there were times when Joe Exotic thought that he was doing the right thing and he wasn't doing the right thing, you know. I think Joe Exotic's a very interesting character to discuss because you could kind of compare him to Walter White. Walter White, when Breaking Bad first started, was a very likable character. You know, he had a lot of great qualities about him that you really liked. But as the series went on and he became more and more successful and more wealthy through the meth business, he changed as a person. And by the end of the season, he's detestable sometimes. You know, there's sometimes in the series where you're like, Walter White is not a good guy at all. You know, and he just got caught up in it. Joe Exotic is kind of a Walter White type of character. Whereas Carol Baskin kind of came off, you know, she had this like facade over her throughout the whole thing, but you could see the ugliness behind her. So, and this is just a TV show too. Like, we only know what we've seen in the TV show. But I mean, it's a great TV show. It really is. Like, I got caught up in it. I really did. It's, good characters are good characters, whether they're in reality shows or whether they're in movies or whether they're in TV, Smangin Tarantino, Yo Lee, can we get a Hallow stream? Yes, you can, good sir. I actually talked to my Hallow stream brethren today, and we are locking in a date. Finally, we are locking in a date. Everybody has chimed in. I don't want to say the exact date yet, but I will say we're shooting for the end of this month. Okay? We're definitely shooting for the end of this month. And as soon as we firm that, then I will put out a promotion for it and everything, But man, I can't wait. We're really looking forward to it. It would be cool if we get the trailer too, because then that'll really give us something. There's a lot we could talk about with the franchise, especially with 6 of us. But wouldn't it be great if we do get that trailer before the end of the month? It seems like with this quarantine, it's like everything's being held close to the vest, from the studios. Like, we're not seeing really any new trailers for big tentpole movies. We're getting new release dates for things, as early as, I think, August. September is A Quiet Place 2. But yeah, it seems like we're not getting trailers. And I'm wondering if a lot of studios, like Blumhouse, if they're waiting until this whole quarantine thing lifts to put out the trailer, which I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Why not put it out? I'm not saying now, but why not put it out at the end of the month to get everybody excited, But I think they're waiting to see what's going to happen. Because if the end of the month it looks like we're still going to be in this thing for another month, then maybe that'd be the reason why they're holding on to it. But Hallow streams definitely happen, whether we have that trailer or not. I will say that. I'm really looking forward to doing it with you guys. That didn't sound right at all. DJ Jones, random statement, but anyone who had anything to do with Seed of Chucky needs to be punished. Severely, good Lord, that was an awful movie. Just horrible. Well, I will say this. People that make movies, I respect the hell out of. Even people that make even Seed of Chucky. I respect the hell out of them because, you know what? That was a bold move to try to go that direction with the movie. Let's try something completely out of the box. And it is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I really, really don't like that movie at all. But the hard work that goes into it, I respect that for sure. That's the thing. When you're on a set and you see what goes into making a movie, making a scene, then you start respecting it a little bit more. And you can kind of tell how much work was actually put into a scene when you're watching it. Like, there was a movie I was watching a week or two ago, and there was a certain scene in the movie, and I was just like, that was pretty impressive what they just did there. I wish I could remember what it was, but that happens sometimes. You notice stuff like that. Shane Moser, Lee, would you review Let Me In? It's one of Myers' and favorite movies because of its atmosphere. Also loved Chloe Grace Moretz in it. Yeah, Let Me In's one of the better remakes out there. And I think one of the interesting things about it is kind of a note-for-note remake to the original, but for some reason it's still very effective and it works. Like, if somebody hadn't seen the original movie and they wanted to see the remake first, I wouldn't be against it. Whereas you couldn't say the same thing for Psycho. Like, if somebody wanted to watch Psycho for the first time, I wouldn't even tell them that the remake exists. I would try to steer them away from that piece of shit as far as possible. But Let Me In, it's good. It's really good because it doesn't copy every single thing note for note, but it does use all those crucial elements that are really important about that movie. Now, Let the Right One In is probably one of my favorite vampire movies, if not my favorite. It's great. I love Let the Right One In, but I love Let Me In too. So yeah, I'll definitely review both those actually. Need to respect those Walmart dumpster fires. Yeah. Even the dumpster fires need a little love from time. That's what I do. I give them love. When I'm at Walmart, I take a picture and I post it on Killer Flicks. Hey, check out this piece of shit. Tom Ungren, have you ever reviewed Starry Eyes? Alex Esso, I believe, is her name. She is a good actress. Yes, I have. I reviewed that movie when it first came out, and I actually met Alex Esso at Spooky Empire a couple years ago. If you look at one of my Spooky Empire videos, you can see it in there. I got a picture with her and everything. She's such a sweetheart too. She really is. It was kind of a cool experience too because, if you've been to a convention, you know the floor and you got all the celebrities there, and Alex Esso was just all there by her lonesome. Nobody was like in line because nobody had heard of this movie Starry Eyes, and she was such a young actress at the time. But me, I was such a fan of the movie. I had already reviewed it that, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know she was here. And so I walked up to her and I was like, I gotta meet you. Your movie was amazing. I was just blown away. And she was so receptive. She was very sweet. She took a nice picture with me and everything. And, I told her that I reviewed the movie too. And she was like, oh my God. And she pulled up her phone and she pulled up, Drumdums, Starry Eyes and everything. She watched it right there in front of me. It was so cool. But that's one that I've actually been planning on doing a revisited for because I remember my first review is really short. It's probably like, I don't know, if it's 5 minutes, I'm lucky. So, and it seems like my reviews get longer and longer. So that's one that I could definitely dive pretty deep into. But yeah, love it. Dave Vanderhoff, have you ever seen 1981? What's up, Dave? 1981 slasher flick, Mad Men. Not only have I seen it, good sir, I have reviewed it. Actually, Madman Mars. It's a good slasher movie. If I had to rank all the slasher movies, not including the really, really bad Friday the 13th movies, it's one of my least favorites. And I think it's because Madman Mars is, I don't know, he's not my favorite killer. Like, I prefer Cropsy, I prefer Jason, I prefer Angela. But it does have some nice kills in it. I do like some of the characters in it. Check out my review though, Dave. I kind of go into it, but it's still a solid movie. I do like it. I didn't put it on my list for like underrated killers, because it just didn't quite make the list. But it's still a solid slasher. It's not a bad movie at all. What about the remake of Christine called Super Hybrid? I own this, but never watched it. I didn't even know there were... Are you sure that's a remake of Christine? Mad Bruh. I'll have to look into that. Super Hybrid. I never even heard of that one. Thomas Woodcock, have you watched Interview with the Vampire? Of course. Let me know if you have, and could you also review that, please? Yeah, I love Interview with the Vampire. That's definitely one of the better vampire movies out there. It's a very ambitious film. It's a big... I remember when the movie first came out, too. Brad Pitt was just starting to be this big, huge actor. Tom Cruise was still at the top of his game. So it was an event when it came out, I remember. And yeah, it's great. It is. I love Interview with the Vampire. One of my favorite endings of a horror movie, too. I love the ending of that movie. Because you go through this whole period where Lestat's down, and then at the very end, Lestat, he crops back up, and he's like, I've been listening to that for centuries. And then they play that Guns N' Roses cover of Sympathy for the Devil. Oh, yeah. I love Interview with a Vampire. Holy crap, guys. It's almost 2 hours now. I think I'm about to... I think I'm going to have to hang it up here in a second, but I'm going to answer this one question. Who did you get the biggest kick out of meeting, Lee? Linnea Quigley or Deborah Voorhees? And have you ever met PJ Souls? Well, I will say for the record, I didn't talk to or meet Linnea Quigley. That was through a third party, Martin Renner, who's doing this movie called Buzzcut. We had been in touch with each other back and forth. He reached out to me about his movie and asked me if I would help promote it. And I said, sure, because he told me Donna Wilkes from Jaws 2 was in it. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. I love Donna Wilkes. And so then a week or two later, he said, hey, guess what? We got Linnea Quigley in this thing. And I'm like a massive Linnea Quigley nut. And I freaking lost my shit. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Yes, that's awesome. I didn't ask anything. I didn't ask to meet her or anything. And then he said, hey, what about I get Linnea Quigley to do a Q&A for Killer Flicks. And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So I posted it on Killer Flicks and everything. And so then he sent me that video that you'll see at like the beginning of the movie, or beginning of the review or video, whatever I did, where she says, do you ever fantasize about Drumdums? I was just like floored. I did not ask him to put that in there. That was the nicest thing that she could ever do for me, and that was really sweet. So I'd love to chat with her one day, just to talk to her about her career. You know, that'd be a really great interview if I could get an interview with Linnea Quigley. I'm too shy to ask, but I should ask just to get one. But on the flip side of that, Deborah Voorhees has been a dear friend of mine for, I'd say, 2-3 years now. And what's crazy is I don't remember exactly like how and when I met Deborah Voorhees. It's crazy it is. Because I reviewed all the Friday movies before I met her. And I think it was somewhere around when Derek Mayo, who passed away of cancer a couple years ago, a dear friend of mine, he was, his favorite Friday movie was Part 5. And so I believe I reached out to her, or somebody reached out to her. I think I did. I think I reached out to her, and she was such a sweetheart. And she said, of course I will talk to Derek. And so she literally called Derek on the phone. And I think from that, we established this great friendship. And I got her to come on Scream Stream, and we did like a commentary on Friday Part 5, and it was such a blast. And it's one of those very few celebrity relationships that continues on. Like I've talked to a few celebrities along the way. You talk to them, you're done, you move on. Like Danielle Harris, I said 2 sentences to her, and I've never talked to her again. But Deborah, we've always been good friends. You know, I've always reached out to her. She's always reached out to me, and we continue to be great friends. You know, we have things planned for the future. So she is a sweetheart. I consider her a dear friend. And we've always been great friends with each other. I am blessed to have Deborah Voorhees in my life. And speaking of Deborah Voorhees, is Deborah Voorhees done with her fan film yet? The concept is cool. Can't wait. I don't believe so. I believe she's in the late stages of it though. I will say that. But yeah, man, if you ever get a chance to chat with Deborah Voorhees, just one of the sweetest, most genuine people. Check out my Friday the 13th Revisited, where it's just me and her talking about Pamela Voorhees, pretty much. We're talking about Friday the 13th. And we just had a blast just dissecting that movie together. It was really cool. Ibert Thon, Lee, what video did you do the Jesse dance from Nightmare on Elm Street 2? Wanted to show my lady after we watched his documentary. I believe it's on one of my 31 Days of October vids because I didn't do 31 Days of October this last year, 2019. So look through the 2018 one. I believe it's in one of those, Earbird. And I'll tell you what, after this, if not today, tomorrow, I'll look for it and I'll send it to you. But the actual link where the video is. But look through those 31 Days of October videos. I believe it's in there somewhere, because I can't remember exactly which video I did that in. If you also, there's another one you can see. If you my commentary on Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 that I did, I believe I put that at the beginning of that. So better yet, go look for that actually. I think you can find it right at the beginning of that. So I used to have the actual file on my computer before my computer crashed, my hard drive crashed, and I lost a lot of stuff, and I think that's one thing I lost. But luckily, it's still on YouTube. So hopefully you find it. Check that out, though. I think it's at the beginning of that commentary. I'm almost positive it is. All right, guys. I think it's about that time. Stuart Waldy, thanks for this, Lee. Good fun. Take care, everyone. Much love from Scotland. Scotland. Oh yeah, I love Scotland. I'd love to visit there one day. DeReal Sean, today is my 32nd birthday. What movie should I watch to end my night with? I think you should watch Demons. Not Night of the Demons, Demons. It's if you haven't seen Demons, it's a horror movie that takes place in a movie theater. It's an Italian horror movie, and I believe it was written by Dario Argento, directed by Mario Bava's son, I believe. But yeah, that's your birthday movie. Watch that one. Or you could do Happy Birthday to Me or Madhouse. Madhouse from 1981. Both those movies are from 1981 and they're birthday slashers. But Demons is my answer for you. Happy birthday, Daryl. That's awesome, man. Cool. Jason Nike's going to watch Deep Star 6. Cool, guys. 2 hours knocked out, man. This was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed hanging with you guys. I hope you guys stay safe. Keep taking care of each other. And have a wonderful night. It's always hard saying goodbye to you guys. But look forward to the next stream, okay? I'm going to keep pumping out content for you guys. And you know, trying to keep you guys entertained. And you know what? It's fun. It's fun hanging with you guys. Anyway. So, take care, everyone. Love you guys.